Okay, class. Hi. This is my reflective evidence organizer presentation. Um, for sorry, I'm a little nervous. For the first skill set, recognize and apply the theories and principles of human development, growth, and learning with the primary focus on children aged 3 through kindergarten. The following domains of development should be included: sensory motor, cognitive, adaptive, language, communication, social, aesthetic, emotional, and physical. The domains of development project worked hand in hand with this goal. When I walked away from that assignment, I truly understood what was to be expected in domains of development and some things that were not to be expected. When I completed the research for this assignment, it was very clear in stating both so that you know what things to look for if a student isn't meeting those milestones. To identify and describe potential impacts of general and specific disabilities, delays, or risk factors on the different domains of development. The common disability student activity, we had to research 5 different disabilities and how they affected several domains of development in different stages of life: sensory motor, emotional and physical, cognitive development, but not only in elderly and young students, but in infancy as well, if we could find information. So kind of the warning signs that this disability might be affecting that child. To recognize and respect the major cultural and sociological differences in child development and views of the child as a functioning individual within the environment. We covered all of this in our first class discussion. We were required to read chapters 1 through 3 before we actually started class. It was about a 2-hour discussion, and we reflected on some of the experiences that we've had with dealing with different cultures as instructors or behavioral technicians, things of that nature. We also researched and thought had to do our first PowerPoint, our web blog, on how important communication was with and with a parent, and keeping in mind those cultural differences and how you go around them and how you go about that. So that first class discussion pretty much knocked this goal out of the park. Examine the interaction between biological and environmental factors that have a direct influence on or that place the child at risk for development delay or disability. The risk factor assignment. I did my research risk factor assignment on child abuse and how it can influence all domains of development from infancy to young childhood. It was heart-wrenching to read some of the research that they have about the difference in a typical student and an atypical student who has experienced child abuse and some of the things that can happen. It was eye-opening. Explain how children learn in a holistic manner rather than fragment ways, and the intricable link between communication skills and the quality of concrete experiences provided through early concept forming activities. This section is actually a part in our readings, and it was considered like the teaching methods for each disability. It broke down things that you could do, things that you could try to implement so that the student builds confidence, understanding, and can somehow incorporate their learning skills so that you can see what they're getting from the direction. Analyze the interrelatedness of all domains of human development for both typical and atypical children. I put down here student activity, number 1, domains of development. But I also feel that throughout the whole course, everything that we read, you have to have something to compare it to. When we did our research assignments like the domains of development, the risk factors assignment, any information you ask for the negative, it brings up what you should typically see. So I feel like this goal was hit all across the board in this course. Describe the etiology, causes of a disorder, symptomology, combined symptoms of a disease, and classification of common development disabilities or conditions in young children and their development impact. I put the web blogs for this one because when we researched an article or got someone else's perspective from a TED talk or something like that, we had to honestly break down some of those things to see if the information that we had in our textbook, the causes of a disorder, some of the symptoms of that disease, or what it could be classified under as far as the special education law guidelines follow. Those were interrelated, in my opinion. Describe the ages and stages of growth and development and understanding of the range of behaviors appropriate for each development stage from 3 through 5 years of age. The student activity child abuse research assignment comes back to this and finding out what effects child abuse could have. It actually started in infancy and went all the way up to 5 years of age. You had to learn also about what was atypical. So I definitely believe that that assignment for me is what drove home this goal. Utilize knowledge of cognitive, social, affective, and psychomotor development and planning instruction. The create lesson plans student activity assignment was actually a lot of fun to think of things out of the box and have to put that modification. And some of the modifications were very simple, but it made you think of all of these things to keep students like ADHD, incorporated into it, students who had autism, where it maybe not have been a subject that they were interested in, how to present it to them so that they could become interested or at least stay with the lesson plan to follow through. Now, my ending it's kind of hard, but I'm going to sum it up. This course definitely challenged me as a college student, as a I consider myself a career educator. I love to self-educate, and that's why I'm still in school now. But it made me really think if this is what I really want to do. Special education was the route that I wanted to take with my degree. I'm supposed to be a graduating senior this semester. And taking what I learned in this typical atypical course and applying it to the student that I work with, because I'm a behavioral technician, I want to say that I experienced burnout. And reading what those teachers wrote or what those special education specialists wrote in the beginning of each of our chapters, and the kind of mental and emotional tapping that it has on you working with such young children, I really have to step back and ask myself, can I really do it? Will I change my career field? Probably not right now, no. But the course and all of the things that I've learned and implementing them with the student that I work with, trying different ways to get through to him so that he can accomplish his goals, keeping in mind and considering the things that he needs. It's not just I work 4 or 5 hours a day. It's not just a 4 or 5 hour a day job. It's when I'm out in public and I'm like, well, how can I, implement his social skills in this? Or how can I help him with his math skills, but not really let him know that he's doing math? Or how can I help him with his reading skills so that he'll feel comfortable to read in a classroom? It's not just the 9 to 5. It's with you all the time. It's like having another child. And in learning all that I've learned about disabilities and behavior modifications and different theories that have been used and the research that goes into working with a student, I really am questioning. And that's where I leave you. And I thank you so much, Ms. Kelly, for putting all the time and effort that you've put into creating these lesson plans, because they make you think. So thank you.